Hello and welcome to the Dan Beasley Show. This morning it's May 31st, 2013 at 8:07 a.m. Hope you're doing well this morning on this Friday morning. We're going to be covering stories that are just breaking the news and some that have not even made it to the major news avenues yet. Um, and we're going to be covering some inspirational tie-ins at the end of the show. So I want to go ahead and get started immediately. Um, and the first story that we have is about the Arizona mom, Yanira Maldonado. She was freed from the Mexican prison for where she was accused of falsely of um, trying to smuggle marijuana out of Mexico. And there were some boxes of marijuana that were underneath the bus seat in which she just randomly chose. Um, she boarded a bus with no packages in, and they said that the boxes contained 12 pounds of marijuana. So she was pretty well set up for this by someone or something, through some organization or maybe some individuals. Anyway, that her husband was trying to meet all of the requirements to get her freed, and all of a sudden they decided that they were not going to do it. And since he brought up the allegations, that they were just doing it just to try to get money out of him, and they moved her to another jail. Well, now she has met her husband Gary, and they left Mexico, and she was taken to Arizona, where she spoke to reporters about her ordeal. And if you want to catch that, you can go to yahoo.com, and that story is there. Another story that's breaking the news today is what the $5 billion threat to college loans look like. Everyone knows that everyone said that everybody needs a college education, a post-secondary education. Even though you go through 12 years of school in this country of secondary education, they still don't consider you to be educated until you go another 4 years to get a a formal education. Well, um, most people and most of the parents that have students going to college do not have the funds available, because funding for colleges now is way up there. It's almost at an all-time high, and the professors are getting paid all-time high salaries, and the colleges are raking it in for the federal government in the form of student loans. Um, they have you fill out a FAFSA, and then they determine your housing, your home environment, and your home income, total income for the family, and then they determine how much they can loan you, and that is a loan to be paid back upon you entering the workforce. Of course, a lot of people have defaulted on those loans, and a lot of people have walked away from those loans. And right now, the Stafford loan, which is what this is, it's a student loan. It's called Stafford. It's ranging from 3.4% to 6.8%, and those interest rates are going to be going up to those numbers from July 1 on. But if you take out a loan not next year, the difference could be significant, and they're not giving any numbers. So they're saying they just give a for example figure that $3,385 loan amount. Under the higher rate, students pay $768 more for that loan. So you do the math and figure it out. But anyway, the cost multiply for each year that the student gets the loan, and that means that taxes are owed and interest rates too. So over the course of the loans totaling $19,000, it could make a big difference, and they did give an interest rate of 6.8%. So therefore, that's another thing that is being affected by sequestering and by the lack of funding that the country seems to have due to the fact that they did not come up with a budget. So anyway, moving on to our next story. Tornadoes are in the news again today. They touched down in Oklahoma yesterday, and as storms were passing, and at least 2 tornadoes touched down in Oklahoma Thursday as a powerful storm system moved through. They're expecting tornado outbreaks again today. One tornado touched down in the town of Perkins in northeast Oklahoma. A second tornado was reported near Ripley, and they were both from the same storm system, and both were in rural areas and did not seem to cause significant damage. In the same area last week, 24 people were killed and more, of course, with the top of the scale EF5 twister that cut a 17-mile path of destruction. And they're warning today that, well, no, there were warnings for yesterday for Oklahoma and Arkansas that storms could produce 3-inch hail. Anyway, that's one of the things that's been in the news that you'll probably be hearing about more today. Another thing is now there's a new type of tourism out called tornado tourism, and it sees a tough season of monster storms and destruction. They said that when the storms center broke, when a violent storm broke out across Oklahoma and leveled the town of Moore, one group of storm watchers was not ducking for cover. They were taking pictures. Tornado tourists brought by the van load to the Central Plains during the tornado season skirt the perimeter of storms as they gather and wait, cameras in hand, for funnel clouds to form and touch down. It's almost a spiritual thing. They want to feel Mother Nature, see it, be educated. With that education, they can go home and hear a tornado warning or watch and know the difference. And as long as you know what to do, you're out observing it from a distance from a mile or as close as a quarter of a mile away, and we have a pretty good idea of the path it's taken, then they consider themselves to be at a low risk. However, Mother Nature is full of surprises. So this year, storms have wreaked havoc in such cities as Moore. Operators have had to balance their business demands with those residents suffering the devastation. So you have a ripple effect when you have a disaster of this magnitude. It doesn't just affect direct people, it affects people indirectly as well, and the economy as well. So moving on to the next story, Amelia Earhart. There's been many theories that have been put up about what became of her. She was the one that was going around the world, and she had an assistant with her, and they said that they have finally found the plane wreckage. They have spotted in a sonar image, and they said that she ditched the plane. They think they ditched a plane in 1937, and the International Group of Historic Aircraft Recovery, TIGHAR, had sonar that depicts a narrow object similar to the shape of an airplane wing, nearly 22 feet long, lodged into the side of a steep underwater cliff on the coast of Nakulororo Island. The island is now is what in today is the Republic of Kiribati. It is believed to be some of the site of the Earhart crash. So when you're looking for man-made objects in a natural environment, it's impossible to look for things that are different, and this is different. This is an anomaly unlike anything else in the underwater environment. And they said it was someone who outlined and noticed the object and directed our attention to it. And they checked it out with an underwater vehicle, but they could not confirm that it's actually Earhart's wreckage. But the sonar image fits with what Gillespie believes happened to Earhart. Says she landed the plane safely off a reef in Nakulororo Island. The wreckage washed into the ocean with high tide, broke up in the surf, and there's archaeological evidence on that island that we believe indicate that Earhart was marooned there until her death several days later. So she did survive the crash, and she survived for several days. So they're hopeful that a future expedition to investigate the finding will be fruitful, but some are unconvinced. And so we're moving along as our public personal interest story for today. We've got ricin being mailed to the White House and to Michael Bloomberg, the mayor of New York City. The one ricin letter was addressed to the president and, of course, Michael Bloomberg. They have both tested positive for ricin. And it's tied to gun control legislation. And I will spare you the details of what the letter said, but anyway, this is going on reports from Washington that this actually happened. And they said the ricin posed no threat, no personal threat whatsoever, but they said the intent to kill was there. Okay, in the news today also, Japan cancels U.S. wheat order on genetically modified fear. A strain of genetically modified wheat found in the U.S. fueled concerns over food supplies across Asia on Thursday, with a major importer, Japan, canceling a tender offer to buy U.S. grain. It's another loss for the U.S. Other top Asian wheat importers, South Korea, China, and the Philippines, said they were closely monitoring the situation after U.S. government found genetically engineered wheat sprouting on a farm in the state of Oregon. The strain was never approved for sale or consumption. So we've got someone manipulating the food supply, folks, and that brings us to another story. About China taking over Smithfield Foods and a $4.7 billion takeover of U.S. pork. Smithfield is the largest pork producer in the world, and it would be the biggest takeover of a U.S. company by a Chinese firm today. Now, wouldn't this be coincidental if they were to buy the company that processes the food that our people produce over here in America, only to refuse to sell it to America, to sell it to someone else? Would that create a famine? I would think so. I think it would be the first of probably many to come. And they're always telling you, not to hoard things. But if you look at supermarkets and all those, I was told from a different source that they only have about a 3-day supply on the shelves. And after the 3 days is up, those shelves are going to be bare. So, if you're planning on stockpiling or building things up, get some foods that you may know that have pork in them or whatever. If you love pork, make sure that you can preserve it and make sure that it's edible in the future. And that completes our list of stories for today. It's kind of a short list, but in the Bible, the King James Version, famine is listed many, many times. One occurred in Egypt a long time ago when Joseph, the Hebrew, was second